After Yashu'a, Jesus, was supposedly crucified, he disguised himself and continued the rest of his travels with Martha and Mary, his 2 wives. As we know, Yashu'a, Jesus, the Messiah, was originally sent to gather the lost tribe of Judah only. His travels took him all through India and Persia, tracing out the wise men Essenes and then back to the land of Nazareth. Yashu'a, Jesus, the Messiah, had previously made an appointment with Gaspar, one of the wise men whom he had met while in Persia, and would meet again in Tamari, Egypt, at the Giza pyramids, Mirat, at an annual meeting where all the Sufi and mystics attended. Yashu'a HaMashiach, Jesus, visited Nubia several times where his family eventually settled. In this sense, he was constantly on the run from people trying to harm them. Yashu'a, Jesus, had been given a camel and was about to leave Palestine. He had to leave his mother and disciples behind. When Yashu'a, Jesus, was walking with 2 of Emmaus, they did not recognize him because of his disguise. They asked him, "Are you a stranger in Jerusalem?" However, when they did realize who he was, for he had sat down for a meal, and broke bread with them, he vanished from their sight. Yashu'a, Jesus, couldn't take the chance of anybody going and telling that he was alive and of his whereabouts. These things have been written in order that you may have faith that Yashu'a, Jesus, is the Messiah, the son of the Netta angelic being, Gabriel, and Mary. And that through your trust in him you may have everlasting life. It is recorded in the 21 degree of John that Jesus showed himself. It states, and I quote, "After these things Yashu'a, Jesus, showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias, and on this wise showed he himself. And went together Simon Peter, Thomas, who was called the twin, Nathanael ibn Zebedee, the one who was from Galilee, and 2 other disciples of Yashu'a, Jesus, were all together. Simon Peter said to the others, 'I am going fishing. We will come with you,' they told him. 'And that through your trust in him you may have everlasting life.' But all through the shadow hours they did not catch a thing, because Yashu'a, Jesus, had told them before to stop fishing for fish, and devote their lives to be fishers of men." Mark chapter 1 verse 17, Matthew chapter 4 verse 19. As the sun appeared to rise, Yashu'a, Jesus, stood at the water's edge, but the disciples did not know that it was Yashu'a, Jesus. He was in a transformed state. It should be obvious why Yashu'a, Jesus, would have to transform himself. If the people who had tried to kill him had found out that he was alive, they would have certainly tried to kill him again. His transformation served as a necessary precautionary measure to enable him to travel safely. This is how he showed himself. They knew that Yashu'a, Jesus, was still alive because, remember, they saw him in the upper room twice. He's not teaching amongst them anymore, and right away what did they do? They went back to doing what they were not supposed to be doing. Sounds familiar? Thus, when the early daylight hours came, Yashu'a, Jesus, stood on the shores, but the disciples didn't know him. They just saw him not long ago. He came to the upper room. He was definitely still in the transfigured state, or he was looking like Judas and they would have seen him in the room and beat him up. Yashu'a, Jesus, has to have shaved his beard and changed his obvious appearance, not his transfigurated appearance. His obvious appearance. The thing is, they're going to show you that he is far away from them. They didn't recognize him from a distance, as we read on. He shaved. Yashu'a, Jesus, was still hiding at this point, but in a transformed body. Then Yashu'a, Jesus, said unto them, "Children, haven't ye caught anything?" And they answered him, "No." And he said to them, "Cast the nets on the right side of the boat and you will catch some fish." Yashu'a, Jesus, still had the power to make a multitude of fish commit suicide. If he could make those fish jump in that net on a specific side of a boat, he still has power to make them commit suicide. Only a physical being, not a totally spiritual being, would command his followers to catch fishes with the intent of killing them. Fish have brains, you know this to be fact. Because if they didn't, you would not have to put a worm on hook to catch them. So Yashu'a, Jesus, found them unsuccessfully fishing. And to reveal himself to them, he began with this miracle. He showed his power by controlling the life of the fish, to say that he controlled lives. Thus, their symbol became the symbol of the fish. In time the true significance was lost, and the false popes don a mitre, in the form of a fish head, as a symbol of the ancient deity Dagon. Thus, their symbol of the fish, of which was the symbol of man. Because human beings come from the sea, known as seamen or seamen. And creatures in the sea think and feel and have emotions.